What do you
Shit,
think?
guys, hang on. It's going to go live on me.
Okay, never mind. Yep.
Okay. It'll be a little early.
I made it there first.
Hey, you did.
Yay.
Hey,
Yay!
we're back. Actually, we're 1 minute early tonight. I think we were about
Oh
45
my gosh!
seconds.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
4 years.
Yeah, go back and start over.
I'm sorry. Can't be us. Okay, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our Sunday night offering of Astronomy Edutainment, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show.
Yay!
My name is Chris Kerwin. I'm the creator of the social media channels known as Astronomy by the Bay. I'm also an amateur astronomer and a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada.
Yay!
Hey! I'd like to welcome back. I guess I'd like to welcome back, I guess.
I guess.
This evening, Mr. Mike Powell from the PFO Observatory here in St. John. Mike.
Hey.
And Mr.
Hey, you
Paul.
can go, yay! No.
Yay!
Mr. Paul Owen from the Moonshadow Observatory in Hampton. Hey, Paul.
Yay.
Hey, we'd like to welcome all of you tonight from YouTube and Facebook land, or Facebook and YouTube land, that's it. And all of you are joining us through the local Rogers TV network as well. Thank you for your support. Okay, on tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. Now, have you ever wanted to see Earth from space? It's certainly been a dream of mine.
Yes.
Yep. So far, only select
If you have
astronauts.
$500,000, you can.
I can look down at my feet and see it.
Yeah, not from space. So far, only a select few astronauts and fewer amount of civilians have actually made it to on the journey. If it's something you want to consider, though, there is a whole new industry on the horizon called space tourism. Tonight, we're going to discuss a little bit about what's happening in space tourism and what's coming in the near future. Also, Bino Bud will be back with another celestial treasure to talk about tonight.
Yes.
And Paul will be delivering our Rosanna's fun facts from last week that
Indeed.
we were going to do this week. Also, we talk about a few coming celestial events. Of course, that one that's out there right now, the comet. We'll be talking a little bit about that. Everybody get a chance to look at it tonight through the clouds, I guess, and tomorrow night as well. So
Yes.
here's our celestial event, another great week. Anyway, we'll talk about that, and we'll have your wonderful photo submissions here, including some of your aurora photos. Now, I did get I have got about 150 of them. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to show them all. We will try to show at least some of them.
Well, you know what we should do is after everybody eats turkey and they're just so full of lethargy, you just sit there and go, oh, if that one belt the pants, must well look at those pictures.
There you go. I don't know. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who's out there as well. I don't know if we celebrate today or tomorrow, whatever. I think it's tomorrow for us, but a lot of people are celebrating today, I'm sure. So turkey 2 days in a row, that's okay. I can handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the turkey soup to follow.
And that's right. Absolutely.
And surgery. Eat turkey, have surgery.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get started then with tonight's talk about space tourism. Paul, do you want to start up?
No.
No? Okay. Mike, you want to start up?
No, because I cover everything that you guys are going to talk about after.
I'm not going first again this week. Somebody else
All right,
choose.
I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the guy that nobody seems to talk about. It's kind of funny, but in the space tourism business, everybody's talking about Jeff Bezos, and everybody's talking about Elon Musk for a lot of different reasons, but they do. And but there's one who is actually may have been the first guy to put somebody up there in the space tourism world that everybody seems to forget. And you guys know who that is, don't you?
You want us to say, or
Oh, well, yeah, why not? Because we're not going to get them to say it on the phone.
Richard Branson?
Richard Branson. And of course, Richard Branson was the mastermind behind Blue Origin, which has been around for a little while. And he's the guy that took them all up in this little airplane, if you will, flew them about 50 miles above Earth's level, up 50 miles in the atmosphere, and then let people float around for a few minutes, and then basically say, okay, kick the rockets in and let's glide back down to Earth, which is what they did. So so I thought that was probably one of the coolest things. And before we get into what Blue Origin is and what they're doing and where they're going, I also took some time to look up to see, you know, with these guys that are doing all of the space exploration, NASA's looking to them for information and for their expertise. A lot of these other companies, satellite companies, are looking to them for their expertise. So they should be pretty smart cookies, shouldn't they? So I looked up Elon Musk, and he was, I believe, a Harvard or Princeton, one of the two. And he graduated with degrees, you know, very, very high-end degrees, which is what he should have. The same with Jeff Bezos, very, very highly educated guy. And then I looked up Richard Branson, and he was a dropout. And so this guy, one of his teachers said to him, you know, you're either going to be in prison or you're going to be a millionaire. And well, it turns out he was the latter of the two. And so when I look at the lack of education, if you will, and everything that he's done, and we're only talking about the rocket side of what Richard Branson is. He's got Virgin Air, he's got Virgin Records. This guy has done so much. I could do a whole segment just on him and what he's done with his life. And I guess the point I'm trying to make with this is, no matter where you are, no matter where you come from, there's always an opportunity if you have the tenacity and the passion and the faith to believe in yourself. You can do anything. And this guy is a perfect example of that. And so anyway, that's why I want to do the spin on him this week, because he's such an inspiration in so many different ways. And I don't think he's as eccentric as some of the others that are in the same game that he is. So you know, I can kind of relate to this guy a little bit more. So anyway, enough said about that. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll talk about Richard Branson and his things that he does. So Blue Origin is Richard Branson's take to space, and this is what you're looking at now is actually his website. And I recommend that you go on there and take a look around, because the website is designed so easy to follow. It's just absolutely unbelievable. So you can find out a lot about Blue Origin in a very quick part of time, but the information that's in there is really, really good. But I'm going to switch to another screen just for a moment. And so this is Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic. This is the one that actually went up in first. And of course, how they get it in the air with this one. And I don't know if I got pictures of it or not. There's a lot of stuff about him. There's been all kinds of flights going up in this thing, but I don't think it's going to show the actual craft on this one, but that's all right. This one requires a rocket, or sorry, it requires a big plane to get them up to that height in the sky, where they get up so high and then they just let it go, and then it kicks its rockets in, and it gives the thrust to get where it needs to go, which in this particular one, this Virgin Galactic, flies its first Taurus to the edge of space, and the edge of space is what they consider 50 miles above the Earth's surface. 100 miles above the Earth's surface is the boundary of space, which goes from what we deem to be belonging to Earth out into Never Land. So so this particular page just talks a little bit about that mission. So the space plane glided back to a runway landing. This is after it went up and came down. So basically, it just kind of glides back in, almost like what the shuttles did to a certain degree. And that was the first thing, was to get this thing up and get people up into space, which he did perfectly. So here's a little bit more updated version of what's going on. And the first thing, I guess, would be we'll look at his destinations. So the Leo destination was basically called Living and Working in Space. And commercial destinations in Leo, which means low Earth orbit, are a key focus for NASA to ensure a smooth transition from the International Space Station. So he's also going to be getting involved in that, the transitional things between here and there. So enormous amount of work and innovation is required to build mixed-use destinations for commerce, research, tourism, and more. And Blue Origin is working with NASA, innovative business, and universities to make this vision a reality. And our first commercial destination concept was revealed in 2021, called Orbital Reef. And it is architected as a mixed-use business park, 250 miles above Earth. And Blue Origin continues to achieve milestones for NASA's commercial low Earth orbit development program, referred to as the CLD Phase 1. So this is basically what they're going to be putting up there. So this is sort of his place in space, if you will. So that's one of them. So your address in orbit, this is kind of cool. So they're reducing the costs associated with living and working in space. It is paramount to a vibrant future for the benefit of Earth. Blue Origin is focused on services, technical support, transportation, payload delivery, security, standardization, and the delivery of best return on investment for NASA and for future residents. So these guys have got some long-term plans for up in space. And the experience, which is what we talked about a moment ago. So think space as modules with large windows to view Earth, our Blue Origin. Of course, that's where the name came from, while experiencing the thrill of weightlessness in complete comfort. Distinct quarters will be designed for personal and business use, and large hatches created for a safe and inspiring environment. We aim to provide a truly extraordinary experience, whether you are in orbit for research, logistics, tourism, or any other application. And then it shows you the Orbital Reef team, so the people that are actually all involved in making that happen. So that's one of the destinations that they have in mind, which is really cool. And this one here really falls into the space tourism sector. I don't think there's anything else I can show you on that. I wanted to show you the different vehicles that they have. There's 4 of them, and I'll go through them quickly. So there was the New Shepard, and this was designed after, or named after rather, Alan Shepard. So meet the New Shepard, and all rockets take off. Not all rockets land, named after the astronaut Alan Shepard. the first American in space. The New Shepard and Blue Origin's full reusable suborbital rocket system built for human flight from the beginning. During the 11-minute journey, astronauts soar past Kármán line, which is the 100 kilometers, 62 miles, the internationally recognized boundary of space. I said miles earlier, it should have been kilometers. Experiencing several minutes of weightlessness and witnessing life-changing views on Earth. Now, the vehicle is fully autonomous, which means there is no pilots. Like Mike was saying last week, these things are driven by other people other than the people that are on it. So it's this particular unit is made from just a few sections. One, the crew capsule, which is right here. Then there's the ring and wedge fins, which is basically, those are the wedge fins, and those that would be considered the ring. Then there's drag brakes, which are actually popping out here. So when it goes to land, this is what slows the unit down. There's the engine. So there's a number of different engines that they use on different things, but this one's using the BE 3PM engine, and I won't get into all that because that's a whole story on itself. And then there's the aft fins and then the landing gear. Now inside the capsule, check this out. So inside this capsule, that looks pretty darn comfortable, doesn't it? So up here, you can just press on these little blue things, and this says handholds for ease of movement during the zero gravity. So when you're up there and you're floating around, then you don't want to bump into people or things, they do have a guardrail, almost like a holder on a bus, I guess, and you can just hang on, and while you're looking out these huge windows. And then among the largest windows for space. So when you're looking through this, it's not those little tiny holes that we're used to seeing the guys look through on Apollo. These are huge vista views, right? Reclined seats with 5-point harnesses on them. Absolutely comfortable, no question about it. This here is the crew escape system. So for some reason, if you need to get the heck out of there, that's where you go. I don't know where you're going to, but in any event, that's how you get out there. And then over here is the screen for in-flight updates and indicators. So anything that's going on, you can go to that little screen. And then when it lands, it comes down with parachutes. And then it talks about protecting our planet. This is kind of cool. Building road to space starts with reusable vehicles. And the New Shepard system has been designed for operational reusability and minimum maintenance between flights to decrease the costs. And get this, the cost of access to space and reduce waste. Nearly 99% of New Shepard's dry mass is reused. Think about that, 99%. That's unbelievable. The New Shepard's rocket engine is fueled by highly efficient liquid oxygen and hydrogen. And during flight, the only byproduct of New Shepard's engine combustion is water vapor with no carbon emissions. And then you can go into that a little deeper if you want to. There's a few other things, but anyway, but that's that one particular mission. So that's the one they're going to use to kind of get people up there and looking around. The next one, the New Glenn, is our giant reusable rocket for bigger things. So basically, the New Glenn is a much larger rocket to carry much larger payloads, and this would be more for a commercial type of application. It's got twice the volume that the other rocket has. Single configuration for maximum flexibility and savings. And there's something down here, and I don't know if it's on here or not. Trusted by the world. Now it's not reading more. There's one thing I wanted to read a little bit about, because I'm not going to get into too deep on each one, because it's just based on the time. But what careers about destinations? Where is it? Destination, maybe? No, it wasn't destination. Fly to space. There we go. So if you want to go to space, book your flight. Purchase a window seat on a life-changing space flight. So basically just fill it all in with your email, phone number, and all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You got to be 18 years old to be able to get on this thing. And that's kind of cool. But let's look at one more thing, which I think is even more cool. Hopefully I won't lose my page when I do this. There we go. It's not that basic. Where is it? Vehicles, Blue Moon. Just give me 1 second. There's just one thing I want to show. The Blue Moon, by the way, is another one of 4 things that it has in mind. And this one is the one that's going to actually land on the moon. This is a one-time or a one-way unit. This will land on the moon, stay there, but it will be providing cargo transport. So leveraging the 7-meter fairing on the New Glenn launch vehicle to deliver up to 3 metric tons anywhere on the lunar surface. And it says explore. So is it here? I just want to find it. There's a spot on the bottom somewhere in this page, and I'm sorry that I can't find it right away, but what it is this is so commercially oriented that when they're talking about putting cargo or payloads up there, you could be the guy that's sending a payload up there. You could send something up there. So at the end of each one of these things, and I can't find it on the site just right now, but you can actually tell them how much payload you want to send and where you want it to go. So if you're a company and you, for whatever reason, you want something up there, that's what these guys are doing. So every one of these missions gives you the ability to go in and tap in and find out, how to contact them to send things up to, say, the moon or go up with this other cargo ship, whatever the case. This is all purely a commercial venture other than the affiliation it has with NASA. So it's really unbelievable. I won't get into any more because that's probably enough for now because there's other guys going to talk. But anyway, go check it out. Just type in Blue Origin and then say go to the website, and there is so much stuff on here. But these guys are so innovative, it's actually unbelievable. So anyway, so that's my little blast on no pun intended, on the Blue Origin, and my shout out to Richard Branson for being such a cool guy. Very cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
All right.
Okay, I guess I'm up next. So I was just going to mention a bit, I was on SpaceX last week. I'm going to talk about it today. I did have to watch the Starship launch today. A lot of people were watching it with me, that live feed with the Super Heavy booster. They caught that with the chopsticks. It was just amazing. And then the second stage went up and came back down through the atmosphere. They showed the plasma coming along beside the spacecraft. You could picture yourself as an astronaut with that out your window. We get a feeling for what the astronauts have experienced in past missions. And it landed in the Indian Ocean. So it was a successful launch of that mission, and I expect we'll get to see them using those chopsticks a lot more often now that they haven't perfected it yet, but they have caught one, so they did show a complete mission. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit more about SpaceX, and I mean, these guys are really the leaders and all the stuff, right? I mean, we can probably agree with that. Last week I talked a little bit about the Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, and Dragon, and Starship, and now a little bit about human space flight. And they say that they're trying to make life multiplanetary. And the reason Elon Musk, of course, owns this, the reason that he suggests that life should be multiplanetary is that if there is a doomsday rock out there, or doomsday asteroid that could impact planet Earth, then at least we would be on two worlds. Earth, Moon, Earth, Mars, whatever, and the human race would have a chance to survive. So that's supposed to be their ultimate goal, and that is in their mission statement as far as SpaceX goes. So they're working their way towards it. We can see that with Starship now, it's taking me back to the early days of Falcon 9. I mean, you watch the Falcon 9 launches now, it's almost like routine. They're like, oh yeah, big deal, they landed on they bring a couple down at the time. Also, what, it's becoming like the Apollo missions were right up until like after Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, and Apollo 13 was the only one we really paid attention to after that. So it's that type of speed that they're coming along with this, and I mean, they're having some trouble with FAA down there right now, but they're working on that. So here, what do you want to do? Well, would you like to go to Earth's orbit? They are advertising this now. They're not suggesting pricing yet, but if you'd like to go to low Earth orbit, you orbit the Earth every 90 minutes. You're going to spend 3 to 6 days up in orbit. The altitude will be between 300 and 500 kilometers, so you will be classed as an astronaut when you come back, even though you're just going on a ride. Seating is only anywhere from 2 to 4 passengers, and it has a nice cupola, which is a nice big dome to have a look out through, to look at the Earth below you, 46-inch diameter and 360-degree views. Cargo up to 192 kilograms of cargo. And so that's the Earth orbit. Maybe you want to go to the space station. Well, the space station orbits the Earth every 90 minutes. Your duration on the space station would be 10 days. You'll be at 400 kilometers up, seating for about 4 passengers and the same amount of cargo. Why don't we go a little farther? How about the moon? We can go to the moon. Your mission duration is going to be 7 days. Your altitude is going to be 384,400 kilometers from Earth, up to 12 passengers with private quarters. Think about that. On a moon mission, they're taking Starship. Starship is 30 feet in diameter. That's a huge vessel, right? So
Yeah.
30 feet in diameter could accommodate 12 passengers with private quarters. Yeah, I could see that. The volume is 1,000 cubic meters. Nose cone area available for entertainment, manufacturing, and scientific opportunities. So lots going on there. And hey, let's go on to Mars. Your day length on Mars is going to be 24 hours, 37 minutes. Force of gravity is 38% of Earth. And you're 225 million kilometers away. That's the average distance. So I think it's going to take about 8 months to get to Mars. Now, if I want to join a mission, hey, all I can do is click join a mission. And it comes in here. It asks for my information, first name, last name, email address, and country of passport. Are you 18 years or older? Your destination, what would you like for your destination? Earth orbit? This is kind of unreal to be looking at this, right? Yeah, I'll pick Mars, and when would I want to go? Well, let's say 2027. Okay, and I can fill in my details here and then just click submit. And yes, they'll contact you from there. So that's part of the idea of SpaceX. I wanted to click on this one to show the list of SpaceX Crew Dragon missions so far, or Dragon missions so far, and we've got 15, I guess they say. So May 30th to August the 2nd, 2020 was the first one. DM2, Doug Hurley and Bob Becken were on that one. They went to the ISS on Endeavour, and we go down through here. We can see that there's a few private ones too. September 16th to 18th of 2021, that was Inspiration 4. This is a private crew that went up. They went to low Earth orbit. We can go down a little farther to Axiom 1. There's another private crew that went. We go down farther to Axiom 2, May 31st of 2023, and Axiom 3 on February 9th, 2024, and then Polaris Dawn, which was the most recent one where they tested the spacesuits. They actually did a spacewalk and tested NASA's new, or SpaceX's new spacesuits, which are a lot smaller than the old ones for sure. Let's go back here a bit. Anyway, those are the places you could go if you'd like to go to low Earth orbit or space station. They are booking missions. Now, the other thing about this is there's a rideshare program as well. So if you are a company and you want to take a satellite to orbit, or you want to share on one of their rides, eventually Starship will probably carry 10 to 20 different satellites on one mission of different companies. And so you can select the desired orbit that you want, the date, and your payload mass, and they'll give you an estimated price here. Cost as low as $300,000 for putting something into orbit. You get to reserve your ride online. And when they get down to these parts, you're going to take the Falcon 9 or you're going to use Starship. Starship, they did talk a little bit about Starship as being a vessel taking the place of long duration flights. So from Los Angeles to New York, they said would be like a 15-minute flight, 15 to 20-minute flight. So you'd be suborbital, and you'd be on this huge. Again, this is about 30 feet in diameter, so it's not small by any means. And I think that's our ultimate goal. Really, is to be able to fill that up with humans and take them on missions around the world. You could be anywhere in the world, they said, within an hour from anywhere else in the world. So that's a pretty quick trip.
Wow.
What the cost is going to be, who knows at this point. Right now, of course, they're still in their beta testing part of the program. They have got a second stage one that went to orbit now. It has splashed down successfully. The first stage, they actually caught it between these chopsticks, they call them today. So went all the way almost to space and then came back down and landed between these two. That's pretty accurate. That's quite well done.
That's impressive.
Hats off to SpaceX for accomplishing that today. Anyway, this is the Starship that they're going to be using for the longer duration space flight too. This is what we're going to be using, or they're going to be using to go back to the moon. They are in a contract with NASA to hopefully get back to the moon by 2026. So this is why they're putting the push on it right now to, we have to take this spacecraft, develop it, test it, everything else, and make it safe for humans before we can ever put humans on board, of course. So that's where SpaceX is with all this. But, they are gaining, they are, of course, doing a lot with Starlink as well. Their Starlink missions are huge right now. So a lot of revenue is coming in from Starlinks. A lot of revenue is coming in from ride shares. So they are, and this Star Shield is something new, supporting national security. So you can imagine there's some money coming in there as well. The Department of Defense would be using this for battlefield simulations, maybe, or looking at what's happening on the ground at different locations. So and securing satellite networks for government entities, of course, too. So there's a lot happening with SpaceX in the private part of the plan. So I would say just keep an eye on what's happening here over the next little while, and especially with Starship. And I think you'll see that they're going to make a lot of progress in a very short time.
So did they give any indication how much it is just to take the human flight up, say you were there and come back?
Well, there is a billionaire that took 4 people up just on the last mission, and I don't know what they said the price was. It was several million anyway.
Yeah, the one from Blue Origin was like, it was under $500,000.
Yeah, I think it's 20 million to go to the space station for a week. I think it's
Yeah,
20.
this was just to get up and float around to come back.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
still though.
still, oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, with the Falcon 9 or the Dragon, they're spending 3 to 4 days in space, right? So
Yeah.
that's that would be amazing. I think the guy who did Polaris Dawn is actually got the next mission booked as well. Another private flight for 4 of them. So yeah, it would be pretty fantastic to give it a try. But anyway, it's pretty exciting to see this kind of stuff happening.
It is indeed.
500K, I'll take 2 kits. There you go, Amy. For you and me. Never mind these guys. Okay, we're gonna go from there into Mike. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You want to turn up your volume, Mike?
Turn up my volume? Hold on. Can you hear me now?
No sound.
No sound.
Very low sound. Yep.
I'm unmuted. Hold on.
That's what it would be like in space.
Yeah.
No sound.
Quiet. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
A little better. Keep going.
A little better. There's full volume.
You're back.
Back. We got you back.
That's 100%. Wow.
Yeah. You got something going on, but don't worry about it. Just use that. We're good.
All right. I'm going to share something here. I can share something here. Now that you can hear me. So I was doing some surfing around and I come across this, and it's called The Future of Space Tourism. And it was an interesting website to come across. And we think of the main people like Jeff Bezos and, Virgin Airlines and all these guys, SpaceX and all them are the only ones that are doing the space tourism thing. But actually, there's a lot more to it than we think. And this I found interesting. It's a $20 million space holiday. So according to recent surveys, interest in space tourism is not limited just to the wealthy, with 38% of luxury travelers expressing an interest in taking spaceflight for recreational purposes. Among luxury travelers aged 16 to 34, that figure actually raises to an astounding 58%. That's amazing. That many, younger people are looking at wanting to go up into space. That's kind of cool. But I was taking a look through, and I'm just going to scroll through quickly here, the current space tourism competitors' emissions. And here they are. There's SpaceX, Blue Origin, Orion Span, Boeing, Zero G, Space Adventure, 02 Infinity, Worldview, Space Perspective, what's that? Nanocracks or something
Interact.
like that. And Axiom. These are all companies that are getting involved in space tourism, not just the big ones that we hear about. So there's a lot of companies getting interested into this space tourism. And being me, not to look at the negative side of things, but I started wondering, and I came across this part that actually caught my eye. And it says, but space tourism is not without its challenges. While space tourism offers exciting opportunities, there's some potential drawbacks and negative effects to consider. And they actually considered them on this website. One of them is environmental impact. Space tourism can have a negative impact on the environment. Launching spacecraft and rockets requires a lot of energy and can produce sufficient amounts of air and noise pollution. The emissions can contribute to climate change and harm the atmosphere. Yeah, one rocket engine, I suppose, puts out a lot more than just a couple of cars driving down the street. Safety concerns. Space travel is still a dangerous endeavor, and accidents can happen. Despite safety protocols, there's always a risk of something going wrong, and the consequences of the mishap could be catastrophic. So, I mean, yeah, you pay your $1,000,000, but it might be like going down to see the Titanic in that thing, and all of a sudden you're gone,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if you want to make sure they're pretty safe before you take your ride. And the cost. At present, space tourism is an expensive venture and only accessible to the wealthy. But as a result, many people will not be able to experience space travel, right? And create feelings of inequity and elitism. Well, I think it's already there. And then debris. Every launch of a spacecraft generates debris that can stay in orbit for many years. The number of space launches increases, the amount of debris grows. Debris can cause problems with other spacecraft, and small debris can cause a lot of damage. Then resource depletion. Space travel requires vast amounts of resources, including energy, fuel, and materials. The depletion of these resources could have long-term consequences and negatively impact the environment for future generations. And then, of course, last but not least, there's legal issues that we don't really think about. The legal framework for space tourism is still evolving, and it's unclear who will be responsible for if something goes wrong. So if we launch, say a SpaceX launch out of NASA and it lands in Europe, who's responsible, right? If it causes damage, we still don't know that yet because the Americans say, "Hey, it's you're over there. It's not our problem." So that was just something I wanted to show to say, something, there's more to this than just the exciting part about going up into space and, being weightless for a couple of hours or a couple of days. There's a lot of things to think about before we push this too far and have 100 rockets a day going up there. All right. We're already seeing the problem with the Starlink satellites causing issues with just visual observing for these big observatories in Hawaii and places like that. And of course, the more stuff you put up there, it's pretty packed now. It's going to get even more crowded when we start doing space tourism. So it was just something I thought was cool and I thought we should think about. I like the fact that this website threw that information in there and said there's more to this than just paying a lot of money and going for a ride in the long run. So I thought that was a cool way to say, we better start researching what we're doing here before we get too much of a mess up there.
We have a mess up there already.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think there's any way that we can avoid it getting worse because that is the future. So
Never say never to anything.
well,
Maybe there's a way to capture this debris and bring it back. It's a whole other company in itself, right?
yeah.
And it may lead to good things, but in the short term, it may not be such a good thing. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it's something to consider, like you're saying,
Yeah.
because there's point and counterpoint
Right.
on anything. So
That's
anyway,
interesting. Either way.
Should be exciting times anyway, either way.
Yeah.
Like, to watch some of this stuff happening. I know like you say, there are billionaires that are going up and oh, there's another millionaire going to space, great.
Yeah.
But it's more on the technology side of it, like what's developing and what are they offering later for us middle class,
Yeah.
lower class folks.
Yeah.
The peons down the bottom down there. Yeah.
we'll probably use Elon Musk technology And us guys that can't afford to go all the way, it'll be like, okay, we're on the way up and we'll be dropped out like Starlinks.
Parachute.
Yeah.
And then we'll all come back down.
Yeah.
Welcome back down.
Kind
Get
of
your
like
parachute.
kind of like being in a coach, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, could be.
Who knows?
Yeah, I can see it for travel though by like instead of plane, I mean using Starship, to get across international travel, right? For sure, I think I can see that coming.
Yeah.
You know what? That makes more sense than anything else.
Hmm.
Just based on the times and the connecting flights and the this and the that we go through when we're trying to use airplanes to get around the world.
Yeah.
So that can be such a, such an efficiency boost.
Yeah, it's to get that thing to land again. Okay, all right, thanks. I think we covered that all right. We'll just have to wait and see what happens in the future. We've come a long way, that's for sure. From
Yes. So it's not the final frontier.
That's right. It's not.
No, we just waited 50 years to get to here and start all over again. We should have continued that from the 60s on.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is we're not even 100 years into this, and look where we started.
Yeah.
And look where we are, and look the way we're thinking now. Who thought back then that we would be, well, some people did, but doing what we're doing now, and that's everybody thought I guess the fantastical version of living in space and being in this thing floating around and all the wonders of space. But who would have thought that it would have turned into such a commercial endeavor?
Well, it should have been 2001, A Space Odyssey.
There you go.
Well, you took it away from government for rides to space, right? And really, like NASA's role, and I kind of agree with NASA's role now. It is space exploration. It's not to travel back and forth to space.
Right.
We spent billions of dollars on the shuttle, and it wasn't completely reusable. Like I mean, SpaceX is going to be and other companies are looking at a complete reusability of the spacecraft, of course, because they want to keep the cost down low. But now you've got lots of competition happening and lots of people going after that dollar, and NASA is willing to pay out, for that opportunity to get to moon or Mars or whatever it is. So
hey, Elon Musk will use Tesla batteries and fire a rocket up with a battery, electric rockets.
Well, you look at any of these major companies that were trucking their own goods for years and years and years, and now they just contract them out because it's so much cheaper for them, right? Plus, it creates a whole new industry. So that's exactly what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Except space, right?
That's right. All right, Mike, have we got a Bino Bud ready for us?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll throw this over here, and I'll hit play here, and I'll share this here, and I should have this guy here. All righty, this is my version for tonight. That's a comment that I didn't see, by the way, because my binocular target of the week this week is Comet C2023 A3. Cheech and Chong Atlas.
Cheech and Chong, that's what Bert says. Cheech and Chong, yeah.
So I was gonna say for tomorrow night, and then I had to redo my whole Bino Bud because it's gonna rain. Anyway, there it is. Look at that. Tomorrow night, I should have changed that to Tuesday, October 15th is going to be an ideal time for it to be seen in the northern hemisphere. Won't be a particularly easy sight, at least for now, because it's currently close to the horizon. Although it's close to intrinsic brightness right now, it is only in the sky for a short time after sunset. So observers are fighting against the fading twilight. But how would I find it in the sky? Well, if you went outside around 7:30 is a perfect time, oriented yourself 255 degrees southwest, almost west, and watch as the sun set, and you should look over and be able to see that comet just above the horizon. I believe Venus might still be, depending on what you have for a low horizon, but Venus might still be in sight. Here's just a little closer look. You can go between Venus and I think this is Arcturus, and then it should be right in the middle, almost between the two. What does it look like? I stole a picture here that Mr. Robert Carson took from St. Therese Beach. I think it was last night, and that's exactly what going to look like. She's starting to show. So it's here. Unfortunately, tonight the clouds rolled in and took away the opportunity for us to go out and see it and get a picture of it, but it is here. She's big in 10 by 50 binoculars. This is what Stellarium says it looks like in 10 by 50s. So you get a good view of it. And if you compare that to the full moon, you know, up here it's at the the tails start to spread out. I don't know how much of it you're going to see, but it's a good size. Yeah, you should be able to see it in a pair of 10 by 50 binoculars. And here's the best one. Are you ready for this one, Paul?
All right.
How many ears does Captain Kirk have? The answer, 3. A left ear, a right ear, and a final front ear. And that's binocular target of the week by Bono Bud. Final frontier.
Wow. Okay. Show's going downhill every week.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
That's perfect. Yep. With the ear drawn in the head there. Okay, Paul, you have a Rosanna's fun fact?
I can't top that. Yeah, I do.
It's fun to remember.
Looking in the mirror will never be the same, man.
That is just too funny. All right, let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, now I'm gonna do something else. Oh, okay, where's my, oh no, not that again. Oh, did I lose that already? How could I have done that twice in a row? Oh, it's right there, that's why. I had to close that off. Let's see if I can find it here. There it is. All right. Okay, and this is this week's
Fun fact.
Oh, I stopped. I didn't even get rid of the game. Let's try that again.
Rosanna's fun fact.
There we go. Welcome back, Rosanna, for another fun fact. Rosanna, if you're watching, the final frontier. There you go. I'm going to be chuckling all the way through the show. All right. So Rosanna writes. So I thought I sent this already. No. Okay. So she writes, hi, Paul. Now for part 2 of how to steal an asteroid. In 2004, a cocktail napkin plan to build a spaceship travel to the asteroid Bennu grabbed some fistfuls of samples and returned to Earth and began at earnest. Now let me just get that picture up here first off. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. So this project was actually not the first to attempt to grab some asteroidal material. Japan's Aerospace Exploration Agency had already managed a first attempt with the Hayabusa 1 and sampled the asteroid Itokoa. It's probably Itokoa, but I'm going to say Itokoa. In 2005, the mission was riddled with glitches and only managed to bring home a mere 1,500 microscopic grains. And there are some of them there. So don't let the magnification fool you. The particles are just 1/10 the width of a human hair. So they're pretty darn small. Disappointed with Hayabusa's payload, the Japanese Space Agency started planning a second heist. Hayabusa 2 would launch in 2014 and was scheduled to blast a copper cannonball through the asteroidal Ryugu. If successful, a teaspoon's worth of the asteroid would be the payload back to Earth. It might not seem like a worthy payload, but who knows what a teaspoon of an asteroid might reveal. So there are more living organisms in a tablespoon of soil than there are people on Earth. Let me read that again. There are more living organisms in a tablespoon of soil than there are people on the Earth. That's pretty amazing. So there are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, by the way. So Drake and his colleagues plan to extract 100 times as much as the second Hayabusa mission hoped to gather. Go big and get back home might have been their motto. To do that, they needed to design an impressive suite of instruments specifically for the mission. Now, the average person is not aware of a constant battle with scientists and engineers. Now, hold them. Yeah, there we go. So, what do you call an engineer without a degree? A rocket scientist. Jason Dworkin, the senior scientist for astrobiology at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, quotes a colleague thus: if engineers design missions, they'd launch a bowling ball into space. If scientists design missions, they would have a battleship full of instruments that's too heavy to get off the pad. The key is to compromise. And there is a pile of NASA compromises right there. Finally, in May 2011, 7 years later, after three submission attempts and hundreds of compromises, NASA selected OSIRIS-REx, the Origins Spectral Interpretation, Resource and Identification, and Security Regolith Explorer for flight. There it is. The mission name created by Dante Lauret felt apt. Osiris is the Egyptian god of agriculture and the underworld, basically a representative of life and death, just like asteroids are often to us. Many challenges lay on the path ahead. In the fall of 2011, just 4 months after approval, Drake, the lead investigator, passed away from liver cancer. This completely devastated the team. Suddenly, Dante was in charge, the shepherd not just of a scientific mission, but of the ambitious dreams of his mentor. Make that bigger so you can see that. The creation of OSIRIS-REx continued until it was a bit like a Swiss Army knife. It had a series of cameras, a cutting-edge altimeter that used lasers rather than radio waves to measure distance, 3 spectrometers that use electromagnetic radiation to map out Bennu's mineral composition, and probably the most Inspector Gadget item was this TAG-SAM, the touch and go sample acquisition mechanism. And ready and waiting is Dante Lauret, OSIRIS-REx principal investigator from the University of Arizona, as he holds up a mock-up of the asteroid collection device. And so it's called TAG-SAM. So TAG-SAM was an extension arm that would prod the surface, a cylinder of compressed gas that would then be fired into the asteroid, which would force matter up into the sampler head, and at the front of the arm, trapped it in there, and then just moments later, the spacecraft thruster would blast OSIRIS-REx back into space. Sounds simple, right? But no, the team, still reeling from the death of their leader, now faced a critical technical issue. So, be sure to join the Sunday Night Astronomy Show gang next week, and you won't believe what happened next. And that is Rosanna's Fun Facts cliffhanger version. That is fantastic. So now I'm curious as to what's going to happen next.
I know what's going to happen next.
Well, I know Bud's a cliffhanger version as well.
I know you do, because
I'm not going to tell him.
I remember you going over this very mission, and it talked exactly how it collected. I remember all that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't, and for them, it's going to be an exciting.
Come see us next week. That's right.
Come see you next week.
Thank you, Rosanna.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All right. Exciting mission for sure, and lots of exciting missions out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we got a little bit of time left. I'm going to try to share a few photos here quickly first. Give me a second here. Open with this one. I'm going to share my screen. Probably a good thing. I'm going to share pictures. Yeah, let's go right here. And are we up there?
Do you have something? Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So we got a picture here from David Samard. This is David took this picture of the aurora back on at 2 o'clock in the morning. He said the sky opened up a little bit for him. It was a little bit difficult up in his area for sure for a little bit, but thanks for that, David. And
Chris, if you just click on the, after you, yeah, just click on the center of your picture
yeah.
and that bottom stuff should go away. There you go.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Next up is this one from Mary Craig.
Oh, very nice.
Lots of red this time around. And,
Yeah, there
and we
was
talked a
one.
little bit about the red, saying it's because of the storm was so intense that reds are usually not something that we see naked eye very often anyway. Not from our area for sure.
Yeah,
Nice captures there, Mary. Thank you.
beautiful.
A couple here from Angela Hopkins as well. Like these kind of shots here. I mean, that's something that you see, a lot farther up. I like this big
Yeah.
bow that she had in this
You know,
shot.
it was like when we were out the lot in May when we had that one.
Yeah,
When you looked when I was in Vancouver and I knew you guys experienced it here, you could look in any direction and it was unbelievable. But when you looked straight up, it was almost like you could see that point where it was just spreading out. It was just unbelievable.
yeah. It was an amazing show. So thank you for those, Angela. Robert Carson, like we mentioned, their comet. He got the shot of the comet the other night. They were in Nature Park. Mike
Yes.
was showing that
Congratulations,
one.
Robert.
Good for you, Robert. Hopefully, we'll all get a chance to see it here very soon. Matthew Dupre sent this one. He said, "Hey, Chris, here's my recent capture of the Wizard Nebula. I had only got 45 minutes on this one due to clouds. It was captured with my Celestron 9 1/4 Hyperstar and an ASI 2600. Nicely done, Matthew."
Did you say what filter?
He didn't say what filter. No.
Okay, I'm assuming hydrogen alpha.
Yeah. Okay.
Very nice.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I might have an opportunity to quickly go through some of your picks that you sent in, and I'm just going to kind of scroll through them here really quick because it might take a little bit of time to get them shown because I did download quite a number of them. We'll see where we head. So let's go back here. Let's get this open with view. This. Okay, so I'm not going to name who they are because it would take quite a bit of time, but I'm just going to kind of scroll through some of the pictures that were sent in. I posted a few up and I asked people to comment and suggest to me their photos and where they were at. Now, most of the people who did reveal their photos did actually offer the locations and the times that they were at. I do have that all that captured in their photo, but I didn't have the time to put everybody's name on each photo here. But I thought I'd try to scroll through some of those that were pretty amazing. A lot of people saw this as a pretty good show. And it's not the end, of course. We've got, we're still not quite at solar maximum. So I would expect that we're going to get more shows. And around the spring and fall equinox, it tends to be a time when we're more susceptible to them as well. So there's lots of greens, lots of.
Are you showing the pictures?
I'm not seeing them.
No, we're still looking at Matthew Dupre's.
Oh, you are. My goodness. Hang on a second then. Let me stop share for a second. Maybe I was showing them. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Give me a second here. I'll go back. Get in this format. All right, let's go again.
There you go.
Now. Yes, now?
Yep.
There we go. Okay. Let's keep going.
Oh, that's cool.
So lots to share, lots to show. Some fantastic shots. I'm sure some of the people who are on here recognize their own shots, but they were just, my page was full. Over 200 comments and pictures. It was fantastic to see that so many people had the opportunity to get out and take a look.
Yeah.
Not something, it was, to me, it was pretty close to, or maybe better than the May event between the period of 11 to 11:30 for me. I was out at the Florida Beach, past the St. John Airport, and the show was good around 8:30 to 9, but not as good as what Paul was revealing to me earlier. Out in that area anyway, but that was probably because of a lot of the cloud cover. But it looks like a lot of people had a great opportunity.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. It was kind of like a flashpoint. There it was, and there it wasn't, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And for us, it was kind of like the cork come out of the bottle right around 11 to 11:30 for for my location where I was. Tom Wraithby did some great time lapses there as well. Revealed some of it, but
Seen a couple of pictures. People got their horses and stuff involved, and it was like,
yeah,
what a cool picture.
that's what you got to do. Get some landscape in the shot, right?
Wow.
It's just nice to see so much interest.
Oh, it's huge, and I'm very pleased as well that when they put the post up that there was going to be aurora, it did follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
that's cool.
it's always a tough thing to predict. I mean,
It didn't disappoint, eh?
that's why they call it space weather. It's something that we really don't know what it's going to look like until about an hour before it arrives here at Earth. We have a couple of spacecraft out there that are about 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth, closer to the sun than we are. And when that wave of plasma happens to pass by them, then they transmit that information to here on Earth, and we know about 1 hour before the show starts. And then we just keep watching our apps and keep watching your numbers. There are a number of free downloads for apps you can take a look at, and you'll find a good time to get out. If the numbers are low, then hold off for a bit and wait until you see these kind of shows. These kind of numbers that bring these kind of shows.
You know what I found over the last 3 sessions we've seen is you got to have patience with it, and don't think that just because it stopped for after 15 minutes and it stopped, it's done.
Right.
Lots of times it'll come back, and sometimes it'll come back in a much stronger way. This last time, the 3 of us were at Florida Beach, and I got home and I was processing photos, and I was going to bed around 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, and I looked outside and went out, and it was way stronger than what we saw at the beach.
Yeah.
So if we've got the time to put in to sit out and wait, sometimes you'll miss the most spectacular things just by just thinking, oh, it must be done. Don't ever think that.
True. Very much so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to quickly go to a couple more things here, just very quick here. So this is one that was sent in by Lena Warner tonight, actually from France. So
Oh,
I'm going to share, and it is available. So thank you for that, Lena. I appreciate that. And
awesome.
of course, if you have any photos that you want to share, send them into astronomybythebay@gmail.com. We'll be happy to get them up on our next broadcast for sure. Moving on to what we're talking about all this week, this comet, Comet C 2023 Church-and-Chan Atlas. And here it is tonight, or I'm sorry, last night, but tonight. And then we can see how quickly it's moving up. This next week here, it's going to take jumps, leaps and bounds, at least the width of your fist each night. So, and it's also going to be getting dimmer because it's on its way back out again.
If you can get it within the next week, you're probably going to get the best views of it.
I think so. We're going to be right in this part here, right up here on the 20th or so. This is the time. And we do look like we have tomorrow night doesn't look very good, but then we look like we're partly cloudy again for the rest of the week, locally at least. So try to get out, try to capture it. And if I can possibly get it, I'm going to try to go live with it as well. But yeah, try binoculars too. And we do have a full moon coming. Full moon is coming up this week. And so that will tend to bother, might not bother too much because the comet will probably set by the time the moon comes up high enough to be an issue. Of course, the moon's rising around 7:30, I think, 6:30, I think, on full moon night. And this will be down about 8:30 or so. So it'll be on the opposite side of the sky too. So hopefully it's not going to be a big concern for us.
Well, if you think about just a second ago, that picture that was just sent in from France, that's a pretty bright city.
That is, yeah.
So if we're lucky enough to get it that's low enough in our horizon, still, even with the moon being bright, it should still be quite visible.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's a lot of glow there from the city, right?
That's a huge city.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what city that is, but
yeah,
it's a cloudless city.
we get them once in a while. Anyway, keep your eyes to the skies for this one because it's going to be a good show. And there is another one that we're talking about right now, but we're not quite sure where it's going to be. It's a sun grazer comet that might be brighter than the planet Venus if it holds together at the end of the month. So we'll talk more about that later, but let's focus on this one for now. On tomorrow evening, under cloudy skies here locally, but if you have clear skies, you'll be able to get the waxing gibbous moon closing in on Saturn. They'll be less than a degree apart. This is looking southeast tomorrow evening at around 8 o'clock Atlantic time. So another good target. And here we are with Comet and Messier 5, the Rose Cluster, it's called. They're together in the field of view, 10 by 50 binoculars. There's what they would be about a degree apart again, looking southwest on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Atlantic time. And we'll move on here to the full hunter's moon, which comes up on Thursday evening. Moon turns full at 8:26 a.m. that morning. And it's the third of 4 supermoons in a row if you follow supermoons. And it is actually the closest full moon of the year as well. So you can expect higher than normal tides for a few days on either side of that activity. So this is looking east-northeast on Thursday evening at 6:32 p.m. Atlantic time. If you want more information about events that are happening in your area, you can always go to Lisa's Lookup. You find here at Lisa's Lookup Astronomy and More, and this is her chart that she puts out monthly. It sends it to me, and I get a chance to download it. And so she lists all the events here. This is the date of the event, the peak time for that event as well, and then the seeing tools. What do you need? Naked eyes, binocular, or telescope? She lists all those as well. So very helpful. You can follow Lisa at Ruby Moonbeams on Instagram, X, Mastodon, and Facebook, and now also on Threads. And the last thing up is our October-November calendar. You can download this at sjastronomy.ca, St. John Astronomy Club, and the Rask NB calendar for 6 weeks. So everything's listed here. Anything that's happening throughout that 6 weeks is all listed here. These are all very good points. Excuse me. Red spot appearing a lot on this chart because Jupiter, of course, now is back up in our evening sky. It doesn't have opposition until December, so we've got Jupiter up for quite a while now. So you'll see the really bright object coming up in the eastern part of the sky early evening. That'll be Jupiter. So anyway, try to download the calendar at sjastronomy.ca. And I'm going to take this off the share.
Oh, and Annie says, when is the next aurora going to be and what time?
Good night. And that's
Yes.
in what time? Yeah.
Yes.
And can we make the solar eclipse, like, can we make that on the weekend when the kids are not in school?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can talk about
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do our best for that. Thanks, Annie. You know better. Okay, well, I guess that's our show for this evening. Guys, anything else to say, or you all caught up? All good? All right. My special thanks, of course, goes out to Rosanna for another interesting Rosanna's Fun Fact. Rosanna, thank you. We're looking forward to part 2 next week. We hope you enjoyed the program this evening, and to all of you who share the program, Trudy, thanks for all the hundreds or so shares you do for us. Thank you all. Remember, too, we do love getting your photos, so send them in to astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to put them up on the next broadcast. Special thanks goes out to our friends at Rogers for joining us again this evening. So until next week, wishing all of you clear skies. As we like to say, guys, open your eyes to view the skies and keep your scopes pointed up. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and happy Thanksgiving.